Welcome to Bring Your Brilliance. Are you ready to find and amplify your voice? Looking to be inspired by those who are already out there making it happen? Listen in as we shine a light on those who bring their full, authentic selves to do what they love, make no apologies, and don't try to fit into other people's boxes. With your host, Carla Taylor, who, after years of being inspired by the brilliantly shining people she was meeting, decided others need to hear these stories too.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Bring Your Brilliance radio show. I am your host, Carla Taylor, here on the Inspired Choices Network. And this morning, you are in for a treat. I am so excited, and of course, I'm always excited, but I have been waiting to interview the amazing and iconic and legendary Steve Ross. Since I began this show, he is one of the most incredible people here in the Indianapolis area, but goes well beyond our local region. And we are talking this morning about walking the talk with Steve Ross. So a little bit of background and introduction to Steve. Many people actually talk about being their best selves and making the world a better place, but how many people actually live that out day after day? And not only do that for themselves, but for everyone around them. And I can tell you firsthand, this is exactly who Steve is and how he shows up. In fact, this morning, as we were getting ready for the show, I came on the line and here he was whistling, and he's just a happy guy. So definitely somebody that you want to get to know and hang around. And of those people, how many have been walking the talk on a daily basis for over 35 years? So this morning, Steve and I are going to talk about how he models the way to walk the talk himself and how the Walk the Talk speaker series actually came to be, what that even is, and then how he finds the best interactive and passionate speakers with the coolest over-the-top, on-topic stories, plus mixes in lots of fun. So be sure to call in with your questions, to learn more about Steve, to learn more about Walk the Talk, how you might audition if you're interested. You don't have to be local to Indianapolis to audition. And like I said, spend 5 minutes with Steve. You'll know he's happy to be living the life he has. His family, friends, close relationships are the bedrock of his life. He did graduate from college, not that in his that his opinion that's so important, but it gave him opportunities to learn, grow, and realize what he was best at. And that is working with people to create and manifest their visions and ideas while at all times enjoying what's being created. He's been following his path for the last 35 years, including 33 years as the owner of the Vogue nightclub, which is one of the top music venues around. And so he's really been at the heart of music and entertainment and all these amazing things here in Indianapolis. So with no further ado, Steve, let's hear from you. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Wow, that's I think you said everything that needs to be said. So
well, we can just wrap up then. We're done.
Thank you so much. That's I'm humbled, and I always try to stay humble and feel that whatever I do comes through me from a higher source, and the better for me to walk the talk. And as I live my life by example, I hope people learn from that and grow from it at the same time.
That is awesome. And I love, like I've been saying, you really are. I've been watching you from afar for years, and I'm so thrilled to have gotten to know you better and been a part of and become a speaker with Walk the Talk. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But first, I always like to hear a little bit about people's background and career journey, and how did you even get into all of this in the first place, and kind of bring us up to today of your path in life and what has led you to this amazing career that you've had?
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Big question.
That's a big question. Yeah. So in a nutshell, I came from the little humble town of Washington, Indiana, which was about 10,000 people. And due to family and changes, I moved to Indianapolis when I was about 15. And I grew living in Indianapolis. I realized it was a much bigger city, more opportunities. I ended up going to college. And after I graduated from college, my degree was in radio and television management. And as you had mentioned, I went to college, and that's where I learned in running a college radio station, I learned that it wasn't me that made that station work. It was me empowering all the people that worked with me to do the best that they could. And, I'm getting chills now thinking about it, because that taught me, it's like, wow, this isn't the trickle down theory, it's the trickle up where, you build the base and it creates a great movement. And from there, I tried to get into radio after college. And in order to get into management and radio stations, you had to go through sales. And I'm not the best salesperson, and it takes a certain personality to close. And I didn't have that personality, so at least at the time. And so at about 6 months into my radio position, I had an opportunity to get in the nightclub business, and that was to buy the Bluebird nightclub in Bloomington. And that was 1981, and that's when I started in the nightclub business. And it was one of the greatest things I've ever done. I mean, to do that, it was like, okay, this is where I want to be. And my goal with
That's
the nightclub,
awesome.
whether it was, thank you, yeah, my goal with either the nightclubs, either the Bluebird or the Vogue, was to create an environment where people come in and they let go and have a great time, and truly everybody walks out with a smile on their face. And as you know, music draws people of all walks of life to see a certain artist. It doesn't matter what race, creed, religion you might be. If you see that artist and you're together, you're all dancing on the dance floor, of course you're having a couple drinks, and it's fun, and you're dancing, and when you leave, there's a smile on your face because you just had a great experience. And that was my big goal.
Well, I can tell you that I went to Indiana University, and I spent many nights at the Bluebird, and it absolutely was a great place of joy and fun for me. So that's for sure.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. And so after, this was 2014, I had many life-changing experiences from age of 2005 to 2011, and those included divorce, some financial problems. I had a club in Cincinnati that went under because of the riots in 2001, and it just almost took everything I had. And
wow.
That showed me that there was so much more to life than money and, the things outside of your personal self. And I let go of a lot of that. And then in 2014, 2015, and one thing that helped me learn that was, besides meditation, I listened to Louise Hay, read books by Wayne Dyer, Tony Robbins was a big motivation, Dennis Waitley, he's an old school empowering coach. Those things really helped me. It helped me go within and realize, okay, I can create this, and I can become better, stronger, and realize there's so much more to life than, just what type of car you drive or how much money you have in the bank. Sure, that all helps, live a easier life, but at the same time, it's not everything there is. And
right.
So in 2014, I began to realize, okay, I want to start sharing what I've learned with other people, because I felt people needed this. And we started talking about bringing in Deepak Chopra. And, Deepak Chopra was $110,000 for an hour. And we're going, okay, maybe not. So I went back to the drawing board, and I started watching TED Talks. And I go, okay, well, I'll just bring in some TED Talk speakers. But those guys average from $7,000 to $15,000 to $20,000, for 10 minutes or whatever their story is. And I go, okay, no, that's not going to work either. And then that aha moment, wow, let's just do it locally. And I started Googling speakers local, and Richard Brandon, who was part of this, he knew a lot of people who were speakers as well as himself. And we began to create, Walk the Talk in Indianapolis, and, hashtag Walk the Talk Indy, to create our hashtag Walk the Talk Tribe, which you're a part of, which is fantastic.
I am, and I am so thrilled to be a part of it, for sure.
Yeah, it is great. So with that, in 2016, June of 2016, that was our first event, and the topic was compassion, and it was just over the top. It was, the topic was gratitude. It was over the top, and we knew at that time that we'd hit the pulse of people, and our events average, let's say, 225 people each time we do one, and it continues to grow.
Yeah, you guys have actually been outgrowing venues, I think, too, and it's been really exciting to see the growth and see it taking off. And what's so awesome about you being the person producing this type of show is that you have that background in the entertainment, and I mean, you've had some pretty big people come through your nightclubs. Just give us kind of a sampling of the types of shows that you're used to producing.
Oh yeah, we've had oh my gosh, acts as big as Snoop Dogg, Willie Nelson. Let's see what else. Some older artists, Sheryl Crow, John Mayer. And what's really cool is those acts, as they built their show, they had to play somewhere, so they'd play our clubs. Now, Willie Nelson did 3 shows where he could still, he could sell out any place. And
right.
That was one of the most memorable shows. I mean, just Willie on stage with his guitar, playing all the songs by Willie, and
wow,
hour and a half. And then his band comes on, and then they play another hour. It's just, anyway, so you're right, lots of great acts, and we were blessed with having that opportunity, and the venue, the Vogue itself, as well as the Bluebird, they just have this environment that musicians love to play there, no matter how big they are, which is really cool.
Well, and as a person who frequented those places, and I mean, you really were kind of, without knowing it even back then, interwoven into my life. Like I said, I went to Indiana University for my undergrad back in the 90s, and so I did spend a lot of time at the Bluebird. Was the main place I went because it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of dancing. It was just a really cool place to hang out, and probably I think I went there every night in my senior year, like at least Wednesday through Saturday or something. Like, it was kind of crazy, but we just enjoyed it, and we had so much fun, and my friends and I were dancers, and so that was such a great place. And then the Vogue in Broadwell is the heart of kind of the pulse of things going on in Indianapolis, and all the different shows and the dancing, and really, like, some of my most fun memories going out in the evenings were at the Vogue and the Bluebird. So who knew back then that one day we'd be here on this show talking directly to each other. And then even the Walk the Talk series, I'd had some friends speak there. I'd gone to see it. It was an amazing production, amazing show. I loved how you guys have the band playing, the confetti gun, and the balloon drop, and really making it a big event beyond what most people would think about in a speaker series. And, of course, I tried out twice and didn't make it. And I wasn't going to try out a third time, and then I ended up doing so, and I did actually make it that time, and so we can talk more about that. We're actually getting ready to go to our first break already, so let's go ahead and end here for a moment, and when we get back, we're going to talk about a little bit more about the Walk the Talk series and what that has involved and where that's going. So you are listening to the Bring Your Brilliance radio show here with Carla Taylor. We're talking Walk the Talk with Steve Ross, and we will be right back.
We all have a personal brand. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. What if you knew how to clearly and confidently communicate your value in a compelling way? Tune in to the Bring Your Brilliance radio show with personal branding and LinkedIn strategist Carla Taylor to discover the tools, resources, and inspiration you need to get started and keep growing. Are you ready to make your mark? Learn how to bring your brilliance by listening to the Bring Your Brilliance radio show every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, and 7 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Bring Your Brilliance radio show with personal branding and LinkedIn strategist Carla Taylor. To join today's conversation, call in the U.S. at 815-880-8255 or Canada at 613-800-8736 or Skype at Inspired Choices Network. Or ask a question or send a comment by email at bringyourbrilliance@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I am Carla Taylor, your host of Bring Your Brilliance here on the Inspired Choices Network. Today, our show topic is Walk the Talk with the one and only Steve Ross. We were just talking about kind of the background and how that got started. So let's kind of launch from there, Steve. So I was mentioning a little bit about the production value that you bring to Walk the Talk and what an incredible experience it is. Tell me a little bit more about how that evolved. You mentioned the first topic, I think, was gratitude. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and one of the things I realized in going back to my days in college student radio is that I'm a connector, and I find people that can do a really good job, in what they do, and I bring them together and we connect. And that's how we create each Walk the Talk speaker series. As you know, for the event you were on, we auditioned probably 30 people, and we chose 6, and you were one of them. And it's like, finding the right people is the most important part. And in producing the Walk the Talk, that was a big part of it is, okay, who's going to help us produce this? Who's going to be the MC? Who's going to be, behind the scenes doing the confetti and running the slideshow and, putting this all together, and who's going to be at auditions, and how are they going to work? And it all began to, just work, one piece at a time. I mean, it's like, how it is. Okay, we're not going to figure it all out right away. We're going to just set a deadline and we're going for it. And that's what we did. And it was like, we were amazed, and I'm still amazed at, like our 6 speakers coming up. It's just every one of them has such a cool message about the topic of unconditional love. It's like, you wouldn't have known that going into this. You can't go in and say, okay, we want a speaker that's only going to talk about this part of unconditional love, or someone who talked about unconditional love of self or of family, or of, you don't know going into that. So, as we roll forward and we just set goals to try to do it better and better, these things come to us, and as you know, doors open, which, like meeting you and Adam Parsons and, Kevin Burkamp and all the people that are involved in this, it's so amazing. It's like the next step I take forward, or, we as a group of Walk the Talk, more things begin to evolve, and, everybody brings a cool idea to the table, which is, the more minds that are part of it, the better it's going to be, which to me, that's part of what I say about connecting. And, that's...
and that's such a great thing that I, like I said, I kind of have noticed from afar before I was more involved, and then once I was able to become a speaker, and even that you guys kept encouraging and talking about people who had auditioned more than once, and that's what got me to keep wanting to try, because I thought, okay, it's not a one and done kind of thing, and I know there's different things that you look for, and sometimes it's even just the mix of speakers or the right topics coming together in the right way at the right time, and you're so careful to craft that to create the experience for the audience as well, and really thoughtful about the messages. So some people might be great speakers, but it's just not a good blend with the other ones. So talk to me a little bit more about that, your process for auditions and what you look for.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We do try to make each event unique, as in, like I said earlier, 6 speakers, and each one tells a different aspect of the story or the topic that we use. And I've read several books. I mean, I haven't been a speaker myself, but I'm going to jump into Toastmasters so I can become a speaker and I can live that. That's important. We also have people on our audition judging, like Stephanie Bowie, Kevin Burkamp, as I mentioned earlier. They're speakers. They've nailed it several times on stage for Walk the Talk. And we worked with Alec Rufato Perry, she was a speaker at Manifest, and she's a coach. So we've worked with them to understand about how we look for speakers. So, someone who's got a passionate story, and they they have good eye contact, and they bring their story to the stage. And with that in mind, it's amazing how many people we will choose, and they'll be really good, but once they get on stage in front of 300 people, it's like they just blossom, like you did. I mean, it was great, and you just like, it was like a flower blooming in all the sunshine. It was just beautiful, and that happens. And so that's what we look for. We try to find a passionate, to the point, poignant story. We always encourage people to leave a little bit of themselves on stage, which means if they laugh a lot or they cry or they just become so emotional or they stop for a second, that's okay, because that's their story. That's the message they need to share. And I'm getting chills thinking about it, because I've worked on writing a couple audition spots myself for Walk the Talk, and it's got to be a story that's passionate. And because we will have people that audition more than once, and they'll, God bless them, they want to try, but they'll take their same talk and they'll just apply a different topic to it. So it doesn't work. You know what I mean? It's got.
That's a really good point.
Each audition has to be different, and some speakers will reach out to me afterwards and say, "Well, why wasn't I chosen?" And I will tell them, and usually it's like, okay, well, you need to work on this, or you need to work on that, or you've auditioned before, and this sounds like your last talk, and it's got to be original and passionate, and not just made for this audition. It's got to be your story you're telling. It's very true to heart.
Well, and that is what's so cool. And go ahead.
Yeah, and auditioning, they've got to be authentic. So, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I've been the observer, but I've also been the auditioner multiple times as well as the speaker.
Yeah.
And so for me, being able to come from all those perspectives as well, I learned so much. And I think I told you this each time I auditioned, even, that I've been a speaker for many years, and I've spoken on many types of stages, but it was usually much more in a business setting, and I was teaching to a specific topic for a corporate audience or whatever it was. And so this was a very different avenue for me. And then the fact that it is a short 10-minute kind of TED Talk type talk is a really different ballgame for most of us who don't do those types of really compact versions of a powerful part of our story. And like you said, I was so inspired by all of these other speakers who were bringing their full brilliance. They were bringing themselves and all their passion to whatever story they were telling. And it really, every time as an audience member, even, it's so moving. And like you said too, I've seen, I'm around a lot of speakers in this area, and so I've seen them sometimes even in other venues. And you're right, like there's something magical almost about this particular event and the way it's produced and the way that you bring the best out of everybody on that stage. And then it's amazing to see some people that I've seen them speak before, but never like that. It's so crazy how magical it becomes in that moment with this incredible supportive audience. And I think that's another big component of your event, and even the connections that I've made in the audience of people, because you're attracting people who passionately care about the world and each other. And that's one of the best parts of it, even as an audience member, to be a part of your tribe, because, all these people that you mentioned earlier that were your mentors and influences and things for your mindset, it's all about attracting, your vibe attracts your tribe, and you're attracting such a cool tribe, of course, because you're such a cool guy.
Oh, thank you. Well, I always try to throw in that we are attracting that, but but thank you. I truly appreciate that. It's
and it does take the whole team, and cool. I don't want to take away from your team either, but you are really at that center heartbeat of it all. And all of you on that core team are influencing each other to bring in really not just the best of the best, but the best out of the people that are coming in and becoming a part of it. And it does, honestly, one of the other coolest things that I've seen, and I get to see the ripple effect because I am out in the community. I'm also a big connector like you, so I get to see these people in different ways after the fact. And I cannot tell you how many speakers I have seen after Walk the Talk become these massive forces in their lives, because suddenly they have that magic that happens to them on your stage continues on through their life and starts reflecting everywhere. And all of a sudden they have this greater confidence and greater, like it happened to me too. It's actually why Bring Your Brilliance came about, in fact. You are a huge part of my
that's
story,
great.
because I was always helping everyone else bring their brilliance, but I was never walking the talk and bringing my own. And so your event actually was my launching pad for everything that I'm doing now. So
yay, that's fantastic. I know you shared that in one of our meetings, but I didn't understand it as clearly as you just said, which is fantastic. And I mean, what a blessing for you and everybody you touch too. It's great. And
so you manifested this moment that we're in right here on this radio show.
Oh, you know, it's funny when you talk about walking the talk, and something I didn't realize until about maybe our 6th or 7th event. It's like, you know, each one of these speakers, you know, I hear their story 3 or 4 times before they go onto the stage, and it truly touches me, which of course it would, and I find that myself, I'm walking the talk more. And you know, when I say that, I mean I'm being more honest with myself and the people that are around me and the people that I love, and I'm trying to be more authentic and be the person who I was made to be or meant to be. And that's, you know, we all strive for that, I hope. And that's important.
Yeah. Yeah, and the, you know, the name Walk the Talk, but even the concept of it, like I said, for my own self in my own life, I was talking the talk a lot. I was helping a lot of people, and I was watching them grow and blossom and do all these things, but I wasn't walking my own talk. And that has me stepping up to a totally different level in my life, which is like what I said. I'm also observing in these other people who've come through your event as speakers, and I wish we could capture, like, it's probably way bigger than we even know, because everybody's out there touching so many other people that they're inspiring and influencing through this powerful energy that comes from Walk the Talk.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much. I mean, it's what's really cool is, and we've shared this before, is there's so many aha moments in these events. And in fact, we have it at the bottom of the flyer. It says confetti, live music, and aha moments. This one lady asked me, she goes, how do you put those aha moments in a goodie bag? She thought it was we're going to give them away in a goodie bag. It was so cute. I said, no, you just kind of realize them. But you're right. After each event, which I'm sure it happened with you, that people come up to you who are in the audience and say, thank you, I needed to hear that, or you just changed my life. I mean, I've seen that so many times. It's just beautiful, and you know, it's a blessing from God or whatever energy source it comes from.
It is, and like I said, I had done a lot of speaking before, and even auditioning twice before. Even the audition process itself, it really helped me understand my own story better. But when I finally made it, I did something I'd never done before, and I knew I had to do something different. Like you said, some people are kind of regurgitating the same thing, but for me, I'd always admired people who'd done spoken word poems, never thought I could do it. And so I did one. I actually didn't do that great in the audition, but you believed in me, I think, enough. And then I practiced more than I ever have in my life. And you guys talk about the fact that TED Talk speakers practice like an average of 400 hours or something. Like, it's crazy to get to that level. And that was also a huge inspiring part of my journey, to work that hard to be able to nail every word, which I finally did in the actual show, which was a triumphant and awesome moment. So we're already at our next break, so we better go ahead and take that break. But I can't wait to talk more when we get back. I want to hear more from you about Walk the Talk, as well as what's going to be coming up next for you and for Walk the Talk. So again, I'm Carla Taylor. This is the Bring Your Brilliance radio show on Inspired Choices Network, here with Steve Ross, and we will be right back.
We all have a personal brand. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. What if you knew how to clearly and confidently communicate your value in a compelling way? Tune in to the Bring Your Brilliance radio show with personal branding and LinkedIn strategist Carla Taylor to discover the tools, resources, and inspiration you need to get started and keep growing. Are you ready to make your mark? Learn how to bring your brilliance by listening to the Bring Your Brilliance radio show every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, and 7 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Bring Your Brilliance radio show with personal branding and LinkedIn strategist Carla Taylor. To join today's conversation, call in the U.S. at 815-880-8255 or Canada at 613-800-8736 or Skype at Inspired Choices Network. Or ask a question or send a comment by email at bringyourbrilliance@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Carla Taylor here on the Bring Your Brilliance radio show. We are here on the Inspired Choices Network, getting inspired as we talk with Steve Ross of the Walk the Talk Speaker Series. And just a quick mention of what's coming up next for Bring Your Brilliance. We have a couple of openings for people who are looking to expand your brand online, especially on LinkedIn, and actually providing a ghostwriting service for people who really want to get out there and get their voice out there. So if you're interested in that, please come and find me. My website is itstimetobringit.com, and you can also email me directly at bringyourbrilliance@gmail.com. Steve, tell us a little bit about how to find you for those people who want to find out more or audition for Walk the Talk. How do we find you and more about Walk the Talk Speaker Series?
Okay, first I want to give a little plug for Carla. If anybody would like to see her talk, they can go to our YouTube channel, Walk the Talk Speaker Series, and you can find Carla Taylor on our list of 115 speakers and talks that we have, TED Talk style, on our YouTube channel, and you guys will love Carla's talk. So, anyway,
thank you.
You're welcome. And okay, So for every event, we hold auditions. The next topic coming up for December is the topic of abundance. And we hold auditions where we give you a 15-minute segment to audition your talk, and we encourage anybody to come and audition. We have had, of the 120 speakers, 1 in 10 have been first time on stage, and they were chosen, and they deliver stories that are unbelievable, like Erica, what was her last name? Anyway, I can't remember her last name right now, but anyway, she spoke, and her story was so moving and compassionate, and it was on the topic of forgiveness. And once again, it was a story that came from her, and it just rolled out into the crowd, and it was perfect. Anyway, so we hold auditions, and if you want to audition for the topic of abundance, just email me, walkthetalkseries@gmail.com. That's walkthetalkseries@gmail.com. That comes right to me, and I'll send you the information about all the audition parameters. If you go to our website, walkthetalkseries.com, you'll find more information about abundance, and then we've also chosen our topics for the year 2020, which include leadership, diversity, passion, what is faith, and the gift of failure. And those are our topics for next year. And if you're interested in one of those topics, just drop me an email and we will set those up. And our auditions take place in Hoity-Toity Tea Store, which is right in Broad Ripple. And it's a cool little room where we get to see you right up front, personal, and it's, we're friendly and happy, and we're great judges. And anything that you do, we will give you feedback on if you request it. And if you're not chosen, we always encourage you to try again and audition again, like Carla did, which, on the third time she nailed it. It was great.
Well, and you guys are so encouraging and supportive and helpful and willing to give that feedback, which is also so awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the logistics. So is it 6 times a year, or how often do you have the talks?
At this point, we have them 5 times a year.
Okay. So about every month and a half to 2 months, or am I not doing the math right?
Yeah, that's right. No, we'll have, so next year we'll have February, April, and then June, and then also in September and December.
Okay.
We skip summer because everybody's gone.
That's right. Everybody's out traveling with their families or whoever they're traveling with or doing whatever they're doing for the summer months. It's always a tough time when you're trying to be a speaker to get speaking gigs. So you've got people auditioning, and you've had some people not just from Indianapolis audition. Where all have people come from?
Most people from Indianapolis. Or the surrounding area. One of our biggest talks we did was on the topic of creating happiness, and we did that at the Buzzkirk Chumley Theater in Bloomington. And all of those young ladies were from Bloomington, and that was an incredible discussion.
Nice. So you've got the next one coming up is Unconditional Love, and when is that one?
Mm-hmm. That is September 18th at the Indiana Historical Society. And if you haven't been there, it's a cool auditorium-style seating, and it seats about 300 people, and there is no seat that isn't a good seat. And it's not a huge stage. It's a smaller stage. It's nice. The room is carpeted, and the stage is oak flooring, and it's just a perfect venue for
Beautiful.
what we're doing. And the Indiana Historical Society is really nice. Besides, it's free parking behind there, so that even makes it better.
Yes, big perk, free parking downtown. That's another big point.
But yeah, particularly since it's downtown, and they're so nice to work with. It's an unbelievable venue that we were lucky and blessed to find.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of our listeners who are not in Indianapolis, you mentioned that you can find the talks on YouTube. Are there some other places that you can find those? And are you planning to expand to other cities at any time?
Well, you can also find, we also post all our talk on our Facebook channel, which is Walk the Talk series. And we have talked about expanding, yes. It's interesting. We have had invitations from England. We've had invitations from South Africa. We've had invitations from Australia. But you think about it, it's like, oh, I would love to. I mean, I'm getting chills thinking about it right now. Yeah, let's do it. But, it costs a little bit of money to do that. So, you know what I mean? Anyway, we also we've started posting podcasts on our walkthetalkseries.com, where you can also find our videos. And we've started posting podcasts, which basically are the same talks, but they're in podcast form. And we just started doing that. I think we've got 15 up there so far. And we have thought about a radio show and haven't dealt into it yet. And similar to, TED Talks does a TED Hour. And I was thinking something along the lines, it'd be 30 minutes that could be also podcasted and call it Short Talks, where, we take the 6 speakers that we've just had on the stage and we basically give them 5 minutes and with bits of their talk to talk about their talk. And, so it's very quick, succinct, and to the point, and hopefully create some aha moments with that too.
That's awesome. That would definitely be a great, and we've talked about some different ways to highlight, like you said, some of those speakers and different ways to get those messages out. So I think there's a lot of opportunity coming up that you're just only beginning with. And in fact, you actually just went through that transition. You just recently sold the Vogue, so you could focus on this more full time. So talk to me a little bit about that transition and what you've got planned for what's next, as well as we talked about the fact that you're still in the exploration stage.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so selling the Vogue was quite an experience. But, I had been there 33 years, and it was time for me to move on. Like I said, I'd been in the rock and roll business since 1981, so I'd seen enough. And Walk the Talk is the next step. And as you and Adam Parsons and Kevin Burkamp and I have met, talked about one of our next steps, which is Walk the Talk at work, where we take what we're doing and we take it into the work environment. Because what we're seeing and I'm reading and hearing is that the people who are working in businesses now want more than just, a paycheck and, hey, benefits. They want to grow and learn how to be a better person. They want some more involvement, and that's what we could do. Like imagine the topic of compassion in the workplace, or empathy for your fellow worker, or gratitude for your job. I mean, there's so many topics that we could do, And so Walk the Talk at Work is on the boilerplate, and we're working on that right now.
Well, yes, and I'm so thrilled to be a part of that team. And yes, like you say, there's so much opportunity for the Walk the Talk message and the Walk the Talk event. And people, especially in the workplace, are realizing that it's not just this compartmentalized part of our lives when we're at work. It's actually everything is all interconnected and interrelated. Mm-hmm. And then because we've got, this increasing what they call war on talent, where there's more and more need for good talent and not enough people to fill it, then organizations themselves are wanting to do more to attract and retain that top talent. And so one of the ways they're doing it is to look at that whole life approach to how can we really truly make this an impactful place in people's lives. And then also that transient nature of the fact that the world is changing so fast, and all companies are changing and growing and pivoting and reorganizing. And so we don't know how long we have with the people around us. And so I think people are also embracing that and recognizing that we don't know what's next, but we know that we can help each other while we're together and then figure out the next steps together or separately. But we've got an obligation to make the most of the time that we have until the next change. And so I think that's what's so awesome about Walk the Talk is, like we've talked about, even the name of it is inspiring to get people to think about, am I even doing this? Am I walking the talk that I say I care about? And then the speakers, like we've talked about, the caliber of speakers, and then these really deeper topics that you create this training around is really wonderful. That it unlike, I don't know exactly how TED Talk does it, but I think they have it where people can just talk about whatever, whereas you guys have a theme to these different shows or to these different events that do bring out some different things from even the same speakers who might have spoken on different things.
Absolutely, and that, in looking at doing this for your workplace, excuse me, it's, we would sit down with the CEO or the HR person, whoever's in charge, and say, okay, here's some topics we've covered. What topic do you feel that would be best for your employees to hear? Or, what topic would you like us to talk about? And we can find the speakers based on our pool of talent, so to speak, who could deliver a message based on what they want to hear. And not to put a plug in, but if you have a small business and you're interested in bringing Walk the Talk at Work to your business, please email me, walkthetalkseries@gmail.com, because we feel that we can help people. I mean, we've shown that over the last 3 years of our Walk the Talk series. It's that people are changing and growing, and as our catchphrase, creating an epic shift, we feel we are shifting people's minds one at a time.
Well, that is awesome, and that is the perfect time actually to take a quick shift to a break. And then when we come back, I want to talk more about, like you said, if you're a small business, if you're looking. So let's talk more about what type of people might be looking for this and how we can help people be prepared for success. I don't know if you can hear the enthusiasm of my dog barking in the background, but he's suddenly gotten very excited about Walk the Talk as well. I think he's talking his own talk anyway. But yeah, so let's take a break. We'll be right back. This is Carla Taylor on the Inspired Choices Network with Bring Your Brilliance. We're talking Walk the Talk with Steve Ross, and we will be right back.
We all have a personal brand. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. What if you knew how to clearly and confidently communicate your value in a compelling way? Tune in to the Bring Your Brilliance radio show with personal branding and LinkedIn strategist Carla Taylor to discover the tools, resources, and inspiration you need to get started and keep growing. Are you ready to make your mark? Learn how to bring your brilliance by listening to the Bring Your Brilliance radio show every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, and 7 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Bring Your Brilliance radio show with personal branding and LinkedIn strategist Carla Taylor. To join today's conversation, call in the U.S. at 815-880-8255 or Canada at 613-800-8736 or Skype at Inspired Choices Network. Or ask a question or send a comment by email at bringyourbrilliance@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. We are here talking with Steve Ross. We're talking Walk the Talk speaker series. We've been talking a little bit about Walk the Talk at work. And again, this is Carla Taylor with the Bring Your Brilliance radio show that we've already talked about, was inspired by the Walk the Talk event that I was a part of. And of course, we're here on Inspired Choices Network. So we're just all coming together in all this amazing co-creation that we're all
Yes,
about.
I love it. Yes.
And Steve, again, that's one of my favorite things about working with you is that you are so open to co-creating and connecting and working with all these different types of people. So you started to talk before the break about that co-creation process that you're envisioning for Walk the Talk at Work. So tell me a little bit more about that and how you could see this going into a lot of different arenas.
Okay. The co-creation process, that's something that's, been big with me for years. And you find the people that like your vibe attracts your tribe. You find the tribe of people that you feel that you'd want to work with and could do this. And then you sit down and throw it out. It's like the last meeting we all had together at Starbucks up in Carmel. It was like, wow. I mean, we were all laughing and smiling and happy. And it's like, this is great. This is going to be cool. And so, as you begin to put everybody's ideas together and like you said, be open. It's like, take a minute. Okay, yeah, you had an idea, and then Adam had an idea, and Kevin had an idea, and I had an idea, and you listen and you process, you write it down, and you think about it. You don't immediately go say, nope, that's not the way it's going to be. It's like, oh, part of that might work, or all of that works, or yeah, let's blend this together. That's the co-creation process. It's
and feeding off of each other and growing the ideas together, like you said, that vision and being open to different ideas. So one of the things you mentioned, right now you are in Indianapolis, but you've mentioned different people contact you from different parts of the country or the world. And I know that's something that you do want to be able to go out and do. So what are some of the things that would need to be in place for you to be able to go to the next, like if somebody's like, gosh, I'm over here in England, how can I get you here? What are some of the things they should know about, and Canada, yes, other places, what should they know about what it would take to get Walk the Talk to their city? What can they do to help kind of pave that way and start bringing this out to more of the world?
Okay, and that's a great question, and I've thought about that because right now our process from auditions to event is about a month-long process. But that's because of me pacing my time and marketing and all that. So let's say if we were to go to Canada, let's say we pick Toronto and we go there and we find 30 speakers who want to audition. And then we find an event space and we begin marketing it. And, the bottom line is, you've got to have cash to go into that market, find a place to stay, rent a venue, or find a sponsor who would provide a venue. It's a big, expensive move to do it, although that doesn't mean it's not there. It's Kunal Vyas, who has spoken at several of our events, gave me a 134 scale Walk the Talk tour bus.
Wow.
It's so cool. It's so cool. I mean, he took the Walk the Talk stickers and put it on the side, and it's like, he sent me a picture up first, and I put that picture on my vision board, which, it's somewhere in my house, and during auditions, I set that little tour bus right on the table in front of us, because why not,
Absolutely.
Or we could do the second thing like we did. So when I talked about the Creating Happiness event in Bloomington, we took that and we took it on the road and we did the Brown County Playhouse. And, 130 people attended. I'd hoped for more, but that's okay because, like I said earlier, 130 people walked away with a smile and an aha moment and, a change in their life. And, I know that because you hear the people talking afterwards, or someone will send me an email, or people will comment on the videos on YouTube like, wow, thank you, inspiring, bring it on. How do I audition? One guy who had attempted suicide came up to me afterwards once, and he said, you guys changed my life. And I was like, I almost started crying. It's just, thank you God for this. So anyway, so to go to another country, it's possible. There's no way. I mean, there's nothing that would stop us except for finding a sponsor to finance it.
Well, that and then also the walk the talk at work, I think, is another whole avenue of possibility, because companies, an individual company could bring you out, or even a group of companies could get together and say, okay, we want to bring you to our city and sponsor it that way. And so I think that gives you even more options and opportunities to be able to take this out to the world, because I know that really has been all along your grand vision, and even the original logo with the world. This wasn't never meant to. It's just beginning in Indianapolis. This is just the birthplace, but it's certainly meant to go much, much further and into all of these different communities, because it really does bring the community together and grow the community wherever you are too. And I think that's one of the great things about Walk the Talk.
Yeah, thank you. And speaking of Indianapolis is a great place to start, as well as they've been so open. The Indianapolis community has been so open. It's great. I mean, the majority of the people that come to our events are from Indy, but they also come from Carmel, Noblesville, Zionsville, Bloomington, Greenwood, the surrounding communities, Avon. It's great. I mean, people want to hear this message. And
even I think, if somebody wants to bring it to their community, if they do have a good venue as a starting point, or there's somebody who can bring together some sponsors, or even maybe start bringing a community together around the ones that are already out there on video, and start kind of hosting some events that they could be tuning in from afar, would help lay that groundwork too. So I think there's so many opportunities. I know we're going to get together again many times as this core team to help figure some of this out and make it even easier for people to know, okay, what exactly is needed. And so we'll have a lot of those resources available very soon. I know we've got some new things coming up with Adam Parsons, of course, doing some brilliant graphic design and logos and things like that. I can't wait to see the bus. I know it's coming. And so that'll be part of the future of Walk the Talk. And like we said, you're just getting started. You've just recently transitioned to be able to focus on this full time. So the sky is really the limit. So we've got a couple minutes left. Do you have one last quick thing that you'd like to say, or a final thought for Walk the Talk?
Final Walk the Talk thoughts. I am going to continue walking the talk, and I want to share this message and the messages that people provide, including your message, Carla, with everybody that has open ears and wants to change. The world needs it now, and it's time to begin this and make it flow and let it happen. And like we said, creating an epic shift so people are more positive and they realize that they have a lot more control and ability to change their lives than they think they do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You're right. It's time to bring it, like I say, and it really is. It's really time for people to step up and start modeling what they say they really want in their lives. And I can't wait to see you be a speaker for the first time as well. I think that's going to be a huge growth point for you. Coming up next week, I do have my first Fridays are my Strategies for Success sessions. So next week is our first Friday, and that will be on your brand on purpose. So it's really about how can you be your purposeful self, and what is your purpose, and if you know it, how do you communicate it better, and how do you get a lot more deliberate about what you're putting out there for yourself and your brand, and being that authentic version like we've been talking about this morning here with Steve Ross. Who are you authentically? How can you get that message out? That's what next week's show is going to be all about. So I would love to hear from you, hear your questions, have you call in. Again, we're here on Inspired Choices Network. So also, if you're interested in getting your voice out there in an even bigger way and walking your own talk like I'm doing and taking a leap like I've done here with the Bring Your Brilliance radio show, there's an opportunity for you to become a host of a show as well. We absolutely love the producers here. Thank you so much, Christine. And this is just your reminder to be bold, be brave, be brilliant, and be you. And until next time, keep shining, keep bringing your brilliance, and keep walking the talk. Thank you so much, Steve. Really, really appreciate you today.
You are so welcome. Thank you. Appreciate you too.
Awesome. I can't wait to see what we all do next.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Bring Your Brilliance with Carla Taylor. For the latest updates and info on personal branding, Please follow and interact with Carla Taylor on LinkedIn. And be sure to visit www.itstimetoBringIt.com. Join Carla Taylor every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, and 7 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until